Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Justin Jeffress, and I am an evangelist at Amazon. Just gotta make sure that's on mute so we don't echo. Yes, so I'm here to help you with your Alexa Conversations related questions. And so we are, before I get into that though, y'all can start just typing out your questions in the chat and I'll go through and answer them. I wanted to point out a few things. First of all, the hackathon submission date is September 14th. And I got this handy dandy countdown timer up here. So that gives you 34 days until submission. So that just gives you some idea of the amount of time that you have. And 34 days, while it might seem like a lot, that will go by pretty quickly. That's about the equivalent of 4 weeks. So you've got about a month to prepare and get your idea out and start building. So I would say make sure you get that going. And if this is your first time tuning in and you're wondering what this deadline that I'm talking about is for, that is for the Alexa Skills Hackathon. For Alexa Conversations. So if you go to alexaconversations.devpost.com, you can find the information there, and I just shared it in the chat. So, and I share it with Justin Jeffress, not logged in on I've got like two different browser windows open, so you can, so the Just Jeffress chat, that's me, and then I also am logged on another window as Amazon Alexa. So okay, cool. So there's the deadline. They've got 35 days. My countdown is down to the hours, and actually down to the second. So yeah, make sure you are, thinking about what it is that you're going to build, because that time will go quickly. And then we also have some resources that are available. And we're also going to be doing some other streams. So I don't know if Sam you're watching, but one of the things that we have available to you for learning how to build with Alexa Conversations is this step-by-step modular tutorial, Build Multi-Tenant Skills with Alexa Conversations. I worked with Sam Ingvar at Amazon and a whole bunch of other people to build and make this training material available to you at launch. And this is a step-by-step guide. And in the next couple of weeks, Sam and I will be going through this material online through Twitch. In fact, if you go to the schedule here, you'll see, and maybe I need to make this a little bit bigger. You'll see we've got some Alexa Conversations pieces on here, and if I look for Alexa Conversations, we've got our office hours, but in addition to our office hours, we have on the 18th and on the 20th, we have Build Alexa Conversations Pet Match, and so Sam and I are going to be going through the course live on air. And then the following week, after that, we have one on the pizza reference skill. So that is on the 25th and the 27th. So if I bring up the calendar, we've got the 18th, the 20th, the 25th, and the 27th. We're doing streams. The 18th and 19th are pet match. The 25th and the 27th are for the pizza reference skill. You might be asking, what's the pizza reference skill? So we have in the Alexa cookbook, I'm going to share this in the chat, we have the two different skills here. We've got Intro to Alexa Conversations and the pizza reference skill. And the pizza reference skill, as you can see, has the backend code for a really cool skill that handles a really tricky use case for voice, which is ordering pizza. There's lots of dynamic things that could happen, multiple toppings, cancellations, and other things like that. So and corrections. So this is also a sample template that is in the developer console. And so if you go to developer.amazon.com, and while I'm logging in, I'm going to switch over to camera only mode. And then I will switch back. Let's see, let me log in. Pardon my, okay, we're just gonna call this pizza. Okay, let me switch back over now. I'm past the unsafe stuff I don't want to share. So if I click, if I enter in pizza here, and I've got my Alexa hosted, if I click create skill, on this next page there are some templates, and you can see here we have the intro to conversations, and we have the pizza ordering sample. So the code here is the backend code. The code here on GitHub is the backend code that is for this pizza ordering sample. So if you click this and then you click next, it will create an Alexa skill, hosted skill with the pizza reference skill. So it has all of the sample dialogue set up for you, and so you can go through, check it out, and see how it was built. So I would highly recommend that you go through that. And on the 25th and the 27th of August, Nathan Greist, who worked on that skill, and I will be going through it and tearing it down and answering your questions. So I would highly recommend that you tune into those things. So we're going to be doing those in addition to office hours. So every Monday at 9 until 10, where we're doing office hours, and then we're going to be doing a bunch of other content throughout. So just wanted to get you all up to speed on all the content that we have prepared for you. And I want to get to questions in just a moment. This is going to take a little bit to create, so we'll just wait for that to finish. At some point during office hours, if there's a lull in questions, I will go back and just point a few things out. So without further ado, let me go over here to the chat. And let's see, we've got a couple questions here. Trade Last, hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, we have, okay, Javelina Man says, okay, perfect, in regard to pet match. Okay, if you have, this is your chance to get your question answered. I know you said that you posted an issue, but if you want to ask it here, go ahead and drop it in. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna copy these questions into a text file so I capture them. Hopefully that's big enough so y'all can read it. So Trade Last says, step 5, add utterance sets. There are invocation utterances mapping to 1, 2, or 3 slots provided by the user. How about if the customer just invokes with, I want a dog? Do we need an utterance without any slots at all? Well, that's a good question. So like if you if you're familiar with the older pet match example that we built before Alexa Conversations, we do have a sample where the user just says, I want a dog, and it triggers the, I think it's a pet match or recommendation intent. So this is what the old paradigm that I'm talking about here. So that was one of the, I wouldn't call it a limitation, but one of the ways how to, with older dialogue management, you would have to say something, like you couldn't just in the beginning launch straight into an intent with dialogue management. You'd have to have the user say something, and so to trigger that intent. But with intent chaining, that issue went away. So you could immediately in the launch request just invoke the intent that has dialogue management. So that's the old way of doing things. With Alexa Conversations, if the customer just says, I want a dog, I think you would, in that case, need a sample dialogue that, would have them, that would start off without the, without any slots in it. And then you would have to set the dialogue act as trying to invoke the API. And then the Alexa Conversations would notice that, oh, hey, trying to invoke the API, but there's no args, and so then it would have to go through the rest of the conversation of getting the slots. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to move on now to, and I'm sorry if I totally mispronounce your usernames here. We got Danny Yal Delay. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and this is a question about Python. And unfortunately, I am not a Python expert. So it says, what is the Python version of handler input.requestEnvelope.contexts.systemuser.access token? As that gave module has no attribute request envelope. Yeah, that's a good question. If anyone in the chat, S Ingvar, that's Sam Ingvar, he's the one that I mentioned earlier that I worked with on the pet match course, who we're going to be streaming together. I don't know if you know Python, but if you do, please, if you could help out. I do know that they are like equivalent. So like as far as the SDK goes, so you know, there's the handler input in the Node.js SDK, so there also is handler input in the Python SDK, and so therefore there should be, like, you should be able to access the access token in the way that you would expect. And you know what, one thing I did notice, the S in your Python example here is lowercase. Maybe you just need to change that to the uppercase S. And if you look at the JSON that comes back in the request to your skill, the way how that is mapped out is you have a lowercase c and an uppercase s in system. So maybe just try changing that lowercase s to a uppercase s and see if the access token, oh wait, no, you're saying that it has no attribute request envelope. I don't know, does this need to be a capital E? I don't think so, because that's not part of the JSON. So once you get to here, you're in the JSON context. But I don't know, again, I don't know enough about Python if it matters that that's lowercase or uppercase or not. Because in this case, you're accessing in Node.js, you're accessing the JSON object directly. Like it does a mapping of it, and it uses the same spelling, casing, and everything. I don't know about Python, so I don't know if anyone in the chat can help with this particular question. I'm sorry, I don't know Python, but there's been a lot of Python questions during office hours and things. So there's part of me that's going, I should start learning Python. I stream on my own channel, so if you follow me on Twitch here, just Jeffress, maybe I'll start. I do things every Tuesday and Thursday, but maybe I'll start like doing like an intro to Python thing and stream myself doing that. So you can follow along while I learn, and then I'll be better equipped to answer these types of questions in the future. I'm getting a lot of them, so I apologize for not being able to, tell you immediately what's wrong here, but hopefully someone in the chat can. I'm going to move on to the next question. Oh, and I see you're viewing from Toronto, so let me mute my system here. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. I have a cup from when I went to Toronto, and I almost used that today. But I grabbed my Alaska Aurora Borealis cup instead. So, all right, let's see. We've got Dana Voice. Let me copy this. And we got, I'm trying to deploy the Task Buddy sample. When I deploy, I get error messages about the URI on an API endpoint. What is Ask Custom Task Buddy? It doesn't conform to the regex, so fails. I'm not quite sure. I'm familiar with the Task Buddy sample, and I'm not sure if it is a Alexa Conversations based sample. Oops, let me get to the Alexa GitHub and go to Task buddy. Oops, I don't know if you can hear that, but my Echo device in the other room is responding to me. Okay, I don't see task buddy here. The other possible, I don't know what that is. The other possible thing is it could be on Alexa Labs. If it's not on Alexa Labs, maybe it's a template inside of AWS Lambda. Okay, cool. It's on Alexa Labs. Okay, I'm not familiar with this sample. Okay, I see. How to construct Alexa quick links. So I want to. So this office hours is for Alexa conversations, and so I want to keep the topic relevant to Alexa conversations, but I do want to, I want you to feel free to ask your questions and get things answered. We do have office hours every Tuesdays at 9, and that's our general Alexa office hours. So, I'm not sure. It's probably going to be Jeff Blankenberg doing those office hours. I will forward this question to him, so that way he has it, and so that way he'll know to answer it tomorrow morning on Twitch, right here, twitch.tv/Amazon Alexa. And but yeah, if I do have time at the end of the stream, maybe I'll look into that one, but I just want to keep this focused on Alexa conversations. But yes, thanks for your question. Let's see, Kirk C gave an answer to Trade Last saying, I believe you would want another dialogue that starts with the user simply asking for a dog. Yep, no slots. You would then annotate the dialogue where Alexa prompts the users for each of the 3 slots. Yes, great. Thanks for providing that answer, Kirk C. Okay. Yep, Dana Voice, this stream is about Alexa conversations. Let's see. Yep, and then Kirk C recommends the forums, contact us, and yes, we also have our regular, more like open, whatever, anything related to Alexa that you want to ask questions about and have answered at our normal office hours on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I gotta remember to always add the time zone. Okay, let's see. So, yes, we got some chatter about that. Which type and category shall I choose when? Okay, that's a question about the forums. And so, yep, Kirk C has the, I will just make this bigger and just give it a call out to all of you when submitting on the forums. If you have a generic, I'm not sure, I guess in this particular instance, he was saying, go to web service integration. But any of your Alexa skills related questions, you can do Alexa skill building. If you want to tag your post for Alexa conversations, just tag it with Alexa-conversations, I believe it is. Kirk C, if I've got that wrong, please correct me in the chat, but I believe that's the tag that you want to add with an S. Okay. Danny Yaldale says, also, how can we connect paid intents into one subscription so the user doesn't have to buy a subscription for each paid intent, but just pay once and use all the intents that comes with it? Yes, so that is an ISP or in-skill purchase related question. For those types of questions, please tune into office hours on Tuesdays. But you have 3 different. I'll go over just really briefly. You have, because maybe you want to add some ISP into your Alexa conversations based skills. So I think it's helpful to have an understanding of the 3 different types. So there are the subscriptions. So that's where the user pays a monthly. Actually, you can set as the skill builder designer, you can set the period of time how often you want the to be billed. So you can do like monthly, yearly. I don't know if you can do like weekly, and then they get billed on that cadence. Then there's like one-time purchases, so they buy it and they have it forever. Even if you stop selling it, you're supposed to provide access to that content if they purchased it in the past. And then there's also consumables. So those are things that you use it you buy it, you use it, and then you have to buy it again in order to have access to that content again. So those are the three different types, and you create these products, and each product gets an ASIN. And so you actually have an API that you can use to see what the in-skill purchases that they've made that they're entitled to use, which means that they've purchased those things. And then during runtime, you can check to see if they trigger an intent that is part of your paid experience. You can check in your logic if they're entitled to that. So that is at a brief overview of ISP. So if you have any specific questions about it, please bring those to office hours on Tuesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or right now we're in daylight savings time. So, all right, let's see what's going on the next question. We've got the Javelina man says, when I create an Alexa skill with Intro to Alexa Conversations template, it errors with the following message. There was an issue creating your skill. Skill resources were not provisioned. Please try again later. Ooh, that sounds kind of like a bug. So I have a couple questions. Where in the world are you located? Do you have any browser plugins turned on that could possibly like a firewall or something that might possibly be blocking something from happening? And then the other question is, have you tried doing this in a different account? If I remember correctly, I don't know if they're tuning in at the moment. I think there's a user, his name's Gold Zulu. I think he was having a similar problem with like this, but it wasn't with the Alexa Conversations template. It was with a different template or something, and every time he was trying to do something, it wasn't working, and the solution was to turn off. There was some like either browser thing or like firewall thing that was causing something to fail, and then if this continues to happen, I would suggest submitting a contact us link, a contact us request. And I know last office hours I gave out the contact us link, but Kirk C told me that link was outdated. So Kirk C, if you could please in the chat provide the updated link to submit the contact us for errors and bugs and stuff. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Bullseye Troll says, we still need an invocation name to start a conversation. Is that correct? Yes, you do. You still need an invocation name. So I think the pizza timer, yes, the pizza reference skill finished creating. So if you're just tuning in at the beginning office hours, I just went into and demonstrated how you create a skill with Alexa Conversations, one of the templates, and I used the pizza reference skill. And so if I click on invocation, you can see here it has an invocation name, and so it's actually training the model right now. We need to have 2 words here for our invocation name. So if I just type in pizza reference, and then if I were to save and restart this build, then we would be able to say in the command line, mute your devices. I'm about to say the A word. If I were to say, I bet my device in the other room is going to start speaking. But if I say, Alexa, open the, I just put a pause in there. Hopefully that's going to prevent it from opening. Pizza reference skill, then the skill would open and be invoked. So you still need an invocation name, and the user still needs to say the invocation phrase. But then after that, if you have Alexa Conversations set as the default dialogue manager, when the user speaks, it will go right into Alexa Conversations. Otherwise, if you don't have that checked, it will go to the launch request, and then you can use a directive in your backend code to pass the dialogue management over to Alexa Conversations. And that toggle that I was talking about, where you set whether or not Alexa Conversations is the default dialogue manager, is in the interfaces section. So if I click on interfaces and I scroll near to the bottom, you will see Alexa Conversations Beta. And so this is toggled on, and in the pizza reference skill, you'll notice that Alexa Conversations is not the default dialogue manager. So this is an example where in the launch request, it actually gets handled by Alexa Conversation, by the interaction model. And then when the user makes a choice, like it asks you, like, would you like to hear more about the specials or start your order? And depending upon which intent they trigger, that intent will then delegate to Alexa Conversations. So the pet match sample uses Alexa Conversations as the default dialogue manager. So it's really cool. We have two different examples that show you, the difference between, creating a Alexa Conversations only skill versus creating the hybrid experience. So I would highly recommend that you check out the pizza reference skill if you haven't already. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next. We got W. Giorgio. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Let's take a look at this question. When launching a skill, if you wish to have a different launch when a customer comes back, can we change that in Conversations, or do we just do that in the backend code? Yeah, so I think what you're trying to, you're asking for is like, say, we had, during the course of the conversation, we capture some information about the user, like their name, or maybe they played a game and they got a score, and we want to, like, when they open up the skill, let them know, hey, here's the score. So when your skill with Alexa Conversations exits, the conversational context is also cleared. So when you start up the skill, you wouldn't have that information, so you would have to save that somewhere. And then what you would have to do is, in that case, you would want to use, you wouldn't want Alexa Conversations to be the default dialogue manager. You would want to have that this box unchecked. And in your launch request, what you would do is get your information out of your persistent store. And then when you, if you wanted to, like at that point, you could have your welcome message in your backend code, and you would write that in the normal way, the non-Alexa Conversations way, to greet the user, give them some context. Or you could create a response template that has the little pieces that you would send to it, that has the welcome message, like, hey, thanks for coming back. Hey, I'll use your screen name. So, hey, W. Giorgio, thanks for coming back. Last time you played, you scored 19 out of 20. Great job. You're killing it on the trivia. And so then, or maybe it's some sort of trivia is not really a good example for this, but like, say it was like some sort of like escape the room game or something like that, and you're using Alexa Conversations to handle all the ambiguous ways that you would interact with the items in a room. So in that case, you could like delegate over to Alexa Conversations and pass that information over, and the template would then take that information, hydrate it, and speak the results back. So you have some leeway as to how you would want to do that. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see, Kirk C also provided an answer here. Invoke the API, associate new utterance set without providing any slot values. Oh, okay, that's, I think, oh, no, I think that answer is related to the pet match question. Yeah, because that was the trade last. Sorry about that. W. Giorgio says, where is JB Nunn? He knows Python. Yes, right? Maybe I should ask if he can help out in the chat on Mondays from 9 to, he's on Texas time. So I think he's 2 hours ahead. So I'll be in touch with him and see if I can, if he's got some time to tune into these office hours. But I definitely do want to learn Python myself, so that way I'm more equipped to answer your questions, since I'm getting tons of questions about Python. That's part of my job, is being able to help you all with your questions, and if I can't answer them, that means I need to get up to speed. So we're seeing more and more Python related questions, so I think it's time. Let's see, Akshay 4000 says, is Pet Match course itself open source somewhere? There are a lot of spelling errors, etc. Yes, so it's not open source. We do have a contact us form There's this feedback thing that you can use. There's also the forums. People have posted a few things here. I apologize for some of the for some of those typos and things. We had a lot of as Alexa Conversations is in beta, there was a lot of changes that were made to the user interface, and we had some late nights getting to getting this thing launched in time. So there's a few things that we've updated and changed and updated since, and we're constantly making it better. So yes, if you see those things, you can use this feedback page. If you click on this, it takes you to this form. You can enter in what those spelling errors that you've seen. I think, and to help us out, if you could, please just paste the page that you're referring to. It should automatically include that when you click this link. But I don't think there's a way that you can accidentally remove that from this URL, but just in case, if you could provide that, that would be really helpful. Great. So good question. Let's see. Alexa hosted skills issue browser. Okay, yeah, that was the one about the asset things not being able to be created. Let's see. What is that's the URI that's in the skill JSON, not AC. I'm not sure, Dana Voice, what that comment is in relation to. W. Giorgio says Task Buddy is not Alexa Conversations. Just want to make sure. Okay, good. I got 30 minutes. I'm doing a health check, see if I can get through all these questions. Let's see. Singbar, this is Sam, says if you want to have a unique welcome for the first time users, you'll need to determine if that user is a first time user. In your backend code, you can add some logic in the welcome APL response to provide a custom response based whether or not the user is first time. Yeah, so you can do that's sort of expanding upon the point that I was making, where you could use Alexa Conversations to do that with the template, or you could have the interaction model part, like your launch request, handle that as well. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Kirksey says regarding the context test page, says that's for our direct context test page, not the forums. Forums tag is Alexa Conversations, which is correct, and then he's got the link here for contact us, so you can see the developer.amazon.com/alexa/console/contact us. So if we go here, this is where you would submit those types of questions where you have maybe run into some problems with creating things in the console, or if you're running into general errors that are with for customer support. But like for implementation questions, that's where you come here to Twitch. All right, so let's see. Oxygen Box, I just got here. Can you please start over? Well, okay, Oxygen Box. So today, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to start over. Kirksey says, I don't think it's possible to start over a live stream. However, if you're interested in Alexa Conversations, you can find our documentation. Yeah, Oxygen Box tunes into a lot of our content here. So we actually met at an event, I think, right? Was it Voice Summit? I always forget which event. Sorry, I always ask you. Let's see. So Hawk2000 says, hi, when testing Alexa Conversation skill in the Alexa simulator, it's not working, saying that there was an issue processing your input. Okay, so this could also be, since there was an issue processing your input. Kirksey might be able to provide some other information about this. I don't know if Kirksey has. Yes, it looks like he has here. It says the Alexa Conversation skill interaction model build. If so, it's possible this account specific. In that case, he suggests going to that link there. The other thing that you might want to try in this situation is, do you have a firewall? Are you on a Windows environment? I've been at events a few times where like people weren't able to test their skills, and there was an issue with their firewall, like blocking the simulator, so they weren't able to make requests, and so they had to like turn something off. Maybe, I don't know if they tried it in another browser and it worked, but I remember like there was a problem with the firewall in a few cases with testing that. So I would recommend trying that out and seeing if that works. If not, then yeah, it might be account specific, and in that case, if you go to developer.amazon.com/alexa/console, Alexa/console/contact us, submit a support request. And my device is talking again in the other room. I'm gonna have all sorts of funny requests and stuff. Maybe I've bought like some things while with my voice while doing these office hours. I'll have to check my shopping cart at the end of this. Okay, let me copy Trade Last's question here. So Trade Last says, so is there sample code for delegating back to Alexa conversations after the fact when you don't check the box to use? Yes, there is. So after handling a launch intent to grab persistent attributes first, there is an example that shows you how to delegate to Alexa conversations, and it also shows you how to like pass information in when you delegate. So I believe the pizza skill does it, but I do know where there is an example. So if you go to the, and then I'll look at the pizza example too, but I'll point you to the one that I know, and then we'll check and make sure. So on the other one, so if you go to github.com/Alexa, you go to the Alexa cookbook, and then feature demos, Alexa conversations, and I will paste this link into the chat. So there's two folders in here: Intro to Alexa Conversations and the Pizza Reference Skill. So Intro to Alexa Conversations has the an example where we delegate to Alexa Conversations. So if we go into the source code here in the index.js, you'll see into this. This is for a button event handler. So in this particular case, they've got some APL. As you can see here in the can handle, we've got alexa.presentation.apl.user event. So if they've tapped on this button and the button is the set favorite color, you can see that the way what they're doing is doing a handler.input.response builder, and they're adding the directive. And you can see here the directive is dialog.delegate request, and the target is amazon.conversations. So this is going to take you to Alexa Conversations. And then in the updated request, you've got dialog.input request, and then here are the values. So you can see they're passing a slot in, and the name is the color and the value that they've selected in this drop-down list. So this shows you how to delegate to Alexa Conversations based upon what was pressed, but you can also put this in a normal handler that you're going to handle spoken requests with, and you can pre-fill the slot values here in this. So if you are going to grab some information from your persistent store and pass it over, right? Like in this example, it's based upon the argument that came in via touch. So if you were just going to grab this from your persistent attributes, you would do something like this. In fact, I can just, looking at the number of questions that we have left versus the amount of time, and I have plenty of time to be able to write out pseudo what you would do here, but you could do something like const attributes equals handler input dot oh goodness, I don't have autocomplete to help me. I think it's what is it, attributes manager, and then you would want to do like here await dot get persistent attributes, something like that. Again, this is just pseudo, gives you an idea, but you would grab the persistent attributes, and then when you define your slots here, you could say say you have a name for a name slot, like their name. So And in this case, they've got, okay, this is the name of the slot. This is a little, this might be a little, I think this is, because we got name here twice. Name, color, value. So I think this is going to be, so I think this is going to be the name of your slot. So let's take a step back and just say, let's say we wanted to say, oh, hey, let's take pet match and say, when we start out the skill, be like, oh, the last dog we recommended to you was A, and then tell them what the breed of the dog was. So I think we could do, I know in the pet match sample we use name, but I'm just going to say breed just so like we don't have name all over the place. So I think this is the way how you would format this. So that would be the name of the slot, and then you have your name, oops, name again, which in this case would breed, and then this would be value, and then whatever the value was. So this one you just do your attributes dot, and then however you saved it. So let's just say we named it as recommended breed or recommendation dot breed or something like that. That assumes that you saved breed in a container. I believe that's how you would do that, because otherwise if you have the name, like that wouldn't work. So I think this is the name of the slot, and then you've got, I don't understand why that's name, why this is name, but this is color here. Let's see, are there any other examples of delegating in here? I think touch is the only one here that delegates back. If we go to the pizza sample skill, this one is a little more interesting. And again, I want to point out on the schedule here, we will be covering in detail August 25th and 27th, the pizza reference skill. Nathan Grice, who worked on that project, and I will be co-streaming and presenting that material. So I would highly recommend that you tune into that. So let's take a look at the index.js here, and I think in his case, like, he prompts if you want like to know what the daily specials are, and depending upon your request, he handles and pushes you over to Alexa Conversations. Let me see, Amazon dot conversations. There we go. So you can see here, this is pretty big function here, but this is in his yes intent handler. And depending upon, you know, the situation, it will delegate over to Alexa Conversations. And oh, you know what this name is? This is probably the name of the dialogue. Huh, there's names all over the place here. Well, I'm gonna ask Nathan, I know he's not tuning in right now, but why there's so many different name values here. I guess one thing that we could do, how are we on questions and time? So yes, Oxygen Box asked, what were those dates? Those dates are the streams for the deep dive on the this deep dish pizza that we're referring to as the Alexa Conversations reference skill. So we've got August 25th and 27th, and then also on the 18th and the 20th, Sam and I are doing office hours for, or not office hours, sorry, a in-depth walkthrough of the pet match tutorial. So tune in for those. We've got, again, the 18th, the 20th, the 25th, and the 27th. I was trying to get like a nice little calendar into PowerPoint, and I was able to use, this is an aside, but I was trying to use a template to do that, and I got the calendar to lay out, and it looks nice, but for some reason I couldn't figure out how to edit the date. Like, I was stuck in 2014, and I'm like, why did this create a new calendar for me in 2014? And how can I change the date to give me, you know, this month? So if anyone knows how to do that, reach me offline. You can send me a DM here, or you can also follow me on Twitter, Sleepy Developer, ping me there. I'd like to know, because I couldn't figure out how to get that calendar in PowerPoint working. So that was a side note. But yeah, so you can take a look at the pizza reference skill and figure out how it's sending stuff over. So for the hackathon, if you're doing something that is ordering, the pizza ordering skill is a great reference for that. So we've got we're in the roughly 15 minutes left. So let me continue on. Keep your questions coming, everyone. I think that might be the end of the questions that I've got here. Akshay 4000 says, y'all are too JS heavy. Some examples in type check language, TypeScript, Python will be helpful. Yeah, you know, there are some TypeScript examples. If you go to, I don't know if any of the sample skills are in TypeScript, but there are some TypeScript. Our documentation for Node.js, I believe at one point had TypeScript. It's the getting started guide. TypeScript v2. Yeah, you can see the SDK README itself has some references to how you would do stuff with TypeScript. I don't know if any of the, yeah, if I click on the TypeScript there, yeah. So there are a few that have TypeScript, but as you can see, that the list is much shorter. But there are some that do. So yes, but yeah, I would agree. There's a lack of that. Let's see. So Trade Last says, after getting persistent attributes. Okay, here, let me copy this. Oops, I missed your T, but that's okay. I'll just type a T here. Trade Last. After getting persistent attributes, getting breed, delegating to conversations, what counts as the invocation utterance? Do you prompt for one before delegating? I see. Yeah. So in the pizza reference skill, like the launch request handles the initial, like once you open it up. Let's go back to that. It's a cookbook. Let's see, feature demos, and then Alex conversations, and pizza reference skill, and then we go to index. And if I look for launch request, you can see here we're getting the session attributes. There is a possibility that I think if they had an in-flight orders that have not been moved to order, like there's something that's going to come back and change the welcome prompt. And then you'll notice that in the welcome prompt, there's no like handoff to Alexa conversations. That's what this meant. So like it's getting set and then it asks a prompt. It could either be the welcome prompt, it could be the reprompt, it could be, you know, a personalized welcome, and it asks for, you know, a prompt. So you can look at the different prompts that we've got here. Oh, this is in a different file, so I'd have to open up the because it's been localized. So I think I have to open up the go up a level. That would be in the, I don't think it's resources. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So you can see here, this one has the welcome person. So we've got the welcome message that says, welcome to pizza reference skill. Would you like to hear about our, and then we've got the day and the period and the special. Otherwise, you know, it will use this welcome personalized, which comes back and uses some SSML. I'm not sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to pass in this person ID. I think he's using his own like replace method. to replace the values in here. And then here's another one that's a welcome back. Welcome back. Would you like to continue with your existing order? Sorry, I didn't catch. Okay, that's a welcome back reprompt. So you can see, like, based upon that, Nathan's building up all the different ways that the skill could welcome them back. And that's all happening not in the context of Alexa conversations, but in the interaction model. And then when the user says and makes a choice, at that point, it is delegating the conversation over to Alexa Conversations. And at that point, it's going to the pizza reference skill. And I think, yes, I still have this open. So if we dive into our different dialogues here, you can see here, we have a dialogue named Customized Pizza Reference Special. And you can see here, that is how it knows which dialogue that you're expecting in this case. So like the user, I think we looked earlier, it was in the yes intent handler. Yes. So based upon the context that this yes is referring to, it will then delegate over to Alexa Conversations, and it's passing over like a slot for name. And if we go over and if I open this up and edit this, okay, there is, I don't know if there's a name slot here. Name. I am not sure what that name is, but as you can see, this is a lot more complicated than pet match. So it's really cool though. I would highly recommend you take a look at this. And one thing that pet match doesn't cover, but is part of Alexa Conversations, is this list type slot. So in this particular example, you can actually like have a list of toppings. So this is the toppings list, and you can see here, let me minimize, get rid of that. You've got, you know, I will like, or I will take, and then, you know, the different values. And when you annotate, you just specify that each one of these is part of that list. And if we go to the slot types, and what was it called again? Toppings. Where is toppings? There it is. You can see here, it's a list of values, and I'm not sure where it says on the UI here that it's a list, but anyway, here's where this is defined, which is pretty cool. So, and lists support entity resolution, so you can define synonyms. All right, let me check back in on the chat. Let's see. Zap5Zap says, on the delegate to intent question, the name is okay because you are changing to an intent with the slot. There are the type export interface, intent, name, string, slots, key, string, slot, confirmation slot, intent, export, slot, name, string, value, name. Right. There's a lot to unpack here. On the delegate to intent question, the name is okay because you are changing to an intent with the slot. These are the name. Yeah, the type export interface. Key and string, which, yeah. Changing to an intent. Yeah, and so this is the name of the, this name is the name of the dialogue, and then this is the name of the, I guess, of the person. I don't know if there's a name across the side. I don't see a name here. That's one thing that I'm going to go back and ask what that's referring to. All right, let's see. We've got, yep, Drew, thank you. Drew is reminding us all, and I brought this up a couple times throughout the office hours this morning, but tune in. Let's see, is that already next week? I believe so. Yes, next week on Tuesday, in addition to our office hours on the 17th at our normal 9 to 10 a.m. time, we're going to have stream. Sam and I, who's in the chat, are going to be walking through the pet match tutorial on the 18th and the 20th. And then on the 25th and the 27th, Nathan Grice and I will be going through the pizza reference skill. Please tune in for that. And, you know, they're going to be highly interactive. We'll be answering your questions regarding Alexa conversations. And, you know, if you have questions, feel free to bring them up there. We will be going through the course, and there's a lot of materials on the one next week on the 18th and the 20th. We'll be going through, and there's a lot to cover and not a whole lot of time. So we're going to be, you know, we'll be answering your questions. But if you have like a question that's going to take a long time to answer, we may have to defer to office hours. Or we also have a Slack group. And so in the Slack group, if you sign up for the Alexa Conversation Skills Challenge, you will get a link to sign up for Slack. And then if you have any sort of questions that you may have, you can go to Tech Questions. Myself and a few other Amazonians are in the chat. We monitor, we answer questions. I am, after office hours, going to be going through and answering. That's part of my daily routine in the mornings, to go through. And throughout the day, I check in on that as well. Let's see, we got 2 minutes. Trade last. Can I answer your question in these next 2 minutes? Let's see. The delegation was done in the yes handler after the yes response. Do you want to hear their specials? Then it's Alexa's turn to talk, controlled by conversations. What does Alexa conversations start saying based on the user utterance being yes? So it passes it through, and then Alexa conversations will figure out, based upon the information that you've passed to it, where to pick up the dialogue. And so the customized pizza reference skill is where it's going to delegate to. And so the user says yes, meaning that they want to customize a special. So Alexa will most likely in this case respond with, okay, what special did you want to customize? Because the user said yes, which means they want to customize a special. So if the user were to say, when they open up the skill, I want to customize a special, I think in that case, even though the context of the skill would be that Alexa Conversations isn't the default dialogue manager, it may end up passing over to that. And so I think there's multiple points of entry, but in the case where in this sample skill where they delegate and they're specifying the let me scroll to it right here, the customized piece of reference special, that will go here. Yes implies that they want to invoke this API. We don't have any slot values, so then it's going to, oh, look at that. We just learned what name is. Name is the name of the pizza, that the special that they're going to request for. So if they've already provided a name for that, actually Alexa Conversations will know that it has the name. So Alexa Conversations would actually skip this line, and then it would probably go to here. And of course the dialogue isn't going to be hard coded to say, okay, the meat lover special. It's going to instead pass the name that it needs to this get customized size, or actually no, get pizza reference special details. So that would be what it's going to do. So cool. Looks like that helps TradeLast get it. So yeah, once I would highly recommend, like, on your own, just going through and doing a deep dive of the pizza sample. There's a lot of really cool, complex things going on here. Yeah, I think, this is, we're at time. We're at 10 a.m. So I want to, again, thank you all for tuning in to Office Hours. If you have any other Alexa-related questions that aren't Alexa Conversations, be sure to tune into our Office Hours tomorrow. Let me go full screen for this. So yeah, tune into our regular office hours tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I believe Jeff Blankenberg is hosting those office hours. And we have a whole lot more materials and things for you for Alexa Conversations. Make sure, if you have any questions that are pressing that you want to get answered on Alexa Conversations, go to the Slack channel. Again, you can get to the Slack channel by signing up. If you're not already signed up for it, I'll drop the link into the chat. If you go to alexaconversations.devpost.com, if you join the hackathon, you will get a link to sign up for the Slack channel, and you can post a question in there at any time. Myself, Drew, Mayor, AWS, a few other people who are in the chat, Kirk C at Amazon, Sam Ingbar is also in there. We have a few other people, answering people's questions in there. We also have a channel dedicated to soliciting for teams. So if you want to team up with somebody, you can go and say, hey, I've got an idea. Who wants to join my team? I highly recommend you get in there and interact with the community, get your questions answered, form teams, and remember you have let's see, what's the counter at? I know we're full screen, but I'm going to pop back over. You got 34 days, 14 hours, 54 minutes, and 59 seconds. It looks like it stopped on me. But you got about, there we go. 34 days, 13 hours, 57 minutes, and counting. So I would recommend that you start thinking about your idea if you haven't, and diving into learning the technology. So 34 days seems like a lot of time, but it will go quickly. That's about 4 weeks to go. So I highly recommend not putting this off until the very, very last minute. Avoid yourself some stress. I know regardless you'll probably be at the last minute trying to get things in built in, but the more you do up front, the more fun stuff you're going to be doing at the end, rather than you'll probably still be trying to meet that deadline, but in better shape. All right, with that, I'm going to sign off. So thanks for tuning in. And again, office hours for Alexa Conversations every Monday from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then be sure to check out the office hours, or not the office hours, the deep dives on Pet Match and Pizza Reference Skill. Pet Match is next week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Reference Skill is 2 weeks from now, also Tuesday, Thursday, the 25th and 27th. Okay, all right. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.